What's going on YouTube? It's Matt Faircloth. Thank you so much for watching this channel. My name is Matt. My company is called the DeRosa Group. And as you guys know, we interview super successful and super awesome real estate investors here on this channel, along with a lot of other outlets, including our Mentorship Monday series and DeRosa success stories. So if you guys want to check one of those things out, if you guys want your phone to give you notification that those things are coming out and you need to come check them out, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notice button so your phone or your computer will tell you that there's an awesome video with lots of real estate education that's designed to make you money out here on this channel. So take a minute before you watch this interview and subscribe and turn on your notice button so that you'll get notice of all the other content that we have. This is a super exciting interview today. I'm pumped because this is a friend of mine who I highly respect, and he's an airline pilot, which I want to be one day, or at least want to learn how to fly airplanes. And so I respect Steve in a lot of different ways. But Steve is a systems guy, and he's here to teach us about how a real estate investor can make more and do less. That is an exciting conversation because we all want to make more and do less and just spend less time to make more. That's what we're here to do. We're not here to hustle and work our tails off. We're here to enjoy life. And if we can make more and do less, that really enables us to do really what matters in life while we're all doing this to begin with. So I'm super excited to introduce you guys to my friend, Steve Rozenberg from Mind Property Management. Thank you so much for being here, Steve.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me, Matt. I appreciate it.
Yeah, cool. So, Steve, I heard you on the Bigger Pockets podcast. What show was that? Show what? Do you remember?
343.
Show 343. You guys all need to check that out because Steve talks a lot about how he applies the lessons he learned from being an airline pilot to real estate investing, which is a crazy conversation. This is my first introduction to Steve, and we met at the Bigger Pockets conference in that. So I think you guys should all check that out. But today, Steve's going to tell us about how we can how a real estate investor can make more money and do less. So, Steve, take us home. First of all, why is that important? And then give us the steps one by one, and we'll discuss them.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's important because the two things that normally cause us to not be successful is lack of time or lack of money. Now, money we can make more of, but time we cannot make any more time. We got 24 hours in a day, and that is it. So what I've learned is that if you are not being the most effective with your time, and when I say effective, that could be spending with your family, right? It could be doing whatever you want to do, sleeping. That's effectiveness, and doing what you want to do, because nobody gets into real estate to create a second, third, or fourth job. We do this for a reason. And so I find that most of us get busy to be busy. We don't get busy with intention. And I think it's very, very important that we really think about what we're doing, and more importantly, why are we doing it? So to me, the way that you need to be more effective with your time is you got to find your end destination. You really have to have that hard question with you, your spouse, your significant other, your children, and go, where is this destination taking us, end road? And then now that you know where you're going, it's like we're going to Disneyland. Now we know what freeways to take to Disneyland, and you know specifically how you're going to get there. You're not just driving in circles. Yeah. And that's why this is so important. Step number one is vital. Know where you're going.
Yes. So many real estate investors, Steve, I see they're number one, they're in the business to like make money, or doing this because they hate their job. And that's the most dangerous reason to get in this business. Absolutely. Because you hate your job. First of all, if anybody's watching and wants to get in real estate because you hate your job, do yourself a favor and just go get a new job. Get a job that you like. Don't do this because you want to quit your job or because you don't like what you do. Go find something you're passionate about. If you love real estate, if you're looking for the time freedom that real estate can create after you've worked hard and built the systems that Steve's going to talk about, then you can go and get into this business. But this is not a buy a couple rental properties and quit your job and everything like that. That is a pipe dream. It's not really what it is. You really got to know where you want to go and what your business is going to look like in the long term. And because I think that if you get into this business just to make money, you'll chase anything. You'll chase a lot of shiny nickels, and you go in a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
Speak personally, I did that when I first got in.
I did too. And I would say, as an example, let's say, for example, you're flying an airplane, right? We're going to go to Honolulu, right? And so your destination is Honolulu. Along the way, there's wind, there's weather, there's issues. You've got to correct. You have course corrections. In real estate, you're going to have course corrections. You're going to have things that are going to come up that you didn't know. And if you don't have that destination and you don't have that why of why you're doing it, that's when you go, you know what? Real estate sucks. I'm out. I'm not doing it. And that's what happens, is because They never really thought, they thought ready, shoot, aim. I'm just going to get busy. I'm just going to do this and I'll figure it out on the way. And in flying, the terms are, that's like building a plane in the air while you're trying to fly it. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that's why so many real estate investors, I think, fail and quit, is because they really don't know why they're doing it. And you had a good point. Some people think that they're doing this for the money. I don't think they're doing it for the money. I think the successful people do it for what the money gives them.
Yeah.
The money represents security, safety, a lifestyle you want. Whether it's $1 or $5,000 or $1 million, it's irrelevant. If that gives you the safety and security that you want, that's the paramount thing that really you need to think about. And
money's only a vehicle. Money's good, you know, just potential. It's potential, whatever, you know, you could do whatever you want with it, but money in itself is not something people should strive for. It's something that a lot of people don't have it strive for, but once you get it, you realize that it's actually not, it should not be the end game. It should be the vehicle to get you to the end game, whatever that is, right?
Absolutely. And even real estate is a vehicle. It's a mode to get you, like a stock, like an intellectual property, like a business. It's just an inanimate object that is getting you from here to here in your financial journey. And a lot of people think real estate is the goal. That's like saying, I'm going to get on the freeway. And the next thing I'm going to say is, but where are you going? You know,
what's life going to look like? Where do you want to go? What kind of real, I mean, just, building a business based on how much money you want to have. And I've heard people say like, well, in 5 years, I want to have $1 million cash. You know, that's not a good goal, because there's a lot of different ways you can get to that $1 million cash. Number one. And number two, I can promise you that is take my just absolute, you know, standpoint on it. It is not fulfilling. You know, once you get that, you got to get to the thing that is fulfilling, that's beyond it, that you're going to do with it, that you want to strive for and reach for. So when you paint the picture that Steve's talking about of what you want life to look like in the end game, it's, you know, maybe money is the vehicle to get you to where you want to go, but talk about what you want life to look like. What lifestyle do you want? What business ventures do you have that are helping you support that? And then you can work towards it. And so you've got a roadmap and you've got a course correction to get yourself to Honolulu, as Steve said, to fly yourself there. So that's awesome. Thank you. So find where you want to go. Number one. Number two, what's the second one?
Number two, you really got to start doing some self-assessments. So for example, if you want to lose weight, you go on a diet and you start writing down what you're eating. What are you putting in your mouth, right? If you want to go on a budget, you need to start writing down, where's my money going every month, right? That's the only way you know. If you want to get more time in your life, right, you're not going to get more time. So you have to take the time that you have and you have to start dissecting, where's your time going? So with that, you start writing down what you're doing. And I've done this with many, many people that I've helped. And I tell them, I want to see 2 weeks, every single minute that you're awake, I want it documented. And what's amazing is all of a sudden you start realizing where the time is going and how much time is being wasted, because now it's black and white on paper. You wrote it down. And now you're going, wow, I didn't realize that I really did all this. And that's really not the best use of my time, is it? No, it's not. But you don't, you know, when we're in the weeds and the heat of battle, I'm going to run to Home Depot. I'm going to talk to this tenant. I'm going to do this. You know, one thing that people need to realize is a 5-minute phone call is equal to 23 minutes of interruption. So it's not just a 5-minute phone call, and it's really never 5 minutes. It's normally longer, but you have to disengage with what you're doing, deal with whatever the issue is, because it's always an issue that needs to be addressed right now. And you've got to handle that, offload it. Statistically, it is 23 minutes.
Wow.
If you get 10 of those a day, which if we own real estate and we're dealing with stuff on our own, we're getting those. That's 230 minutes. That's over half of your day.
Wow.
Being reactionary, not even doing what's intentional and what we wrote down as part of our plan for the day. So then you start looking and say, you know what? Maybe this is not the best use of my time. Maybe I need to look at, you know, having a helper or doing something else. But if you can't see where it's going, you can never figure out where the leak is in the boat, I guess you could say. Yeah.
To take it one step further, Steve, which I love what you're talking about. I think that if we allow ourselves to be in reaction mode a lot of times in life, your time is up for sale. It is up for anyone to just come and grab when they need it. If you're willing to pick this thing up every time it rings, if you're willing to, or if you think that it's required for you to answer an email within the first 10 minutes of it hitting your inbox, or to, private message somebody as soon as they private message you back, you're allowing everyone in the world to hijack your time anytime they need it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as Steve said, guys, he's absolutely right. It is never, first of all, it's never a 5-minute phone call. Never. And then you got to disengage, you got to unplug and then get yourself back in, what Brandon Turner is called deep work, and in the book Deep Work, to get yourself back in what they call the zone, right? To get yourself back in the zone of what it is that you're in. You got to replug back in and reintegrate. That's not just okay, goodbye, let me go back and do this. So you've got to make sure that you've got the processes in place to handle that emergency call, but also maybe it's okay for that call to wait 20 minutes for you to finish the thing that you're doing, so you can stay in the zone, get that done, and then call back.
Yeah. And so 2 things that you said in there that I just want to touch on before we go to number 3. Number 1, when you answer those emails right away or pick up that phone when you're doing something else, there's 2 things that happen right there. Number 1, you're showing the person that you were trying to give attention to that they're not as important.
Yep.
So that's one problem, because you're disengaging from them. But number 2, you're training the other people that it's okay to interrupt you, that it's okay to just call him when he wants, because he'll call me right back. So, in a conversation, someone's being sold, someone's selling someone. They're basically selling you on the fact that they need to be answered right away. And you're saying, okay, I'll do it. So there's 2 things with that. The other thing that I always think about is I say, okay, when I meet people that are very, very successful, very wealthy, not just wealthy, but happy in life, I really study them. And what I realize is they work a lot less than I do. And I think, what is it that they're doing or not doing that causes them to be so successful? And it's one word: no. They say no more than they say yes.
Yep.
And, it's very interesting. And I've talked to some people and they say no until it's a hell yes. Like, they will have to be so committed to say yes to something, overcoming that objection of, should I, shouldn't I? Well, he's a good guy. You never know what could come of it. They don't do that. And
so highlight a few things here that Steve said on tip 2 on how a real estate investor can make more money and do less. On tip 2 is really take a deep look at the amount of time you spend in your day doing things, and do a personal audit, line by line, every 2 minutes. And that's super intense, but if you're willing to go to that level of intensity, you're going to really have ownership of your time. You'd be willing to call yourself out that, I spent 10 minutes doing something that was completely, like, playing a stupid game on my phone or something like that, or doing something that was completely innate, or that not revenue driven, was supposed to be working. I was just, goofing off or whatever. Or just having that, phone conversation that really wasn't going to put money in my pocket that somebody else could have done. Or as Steve said, spending an hour and a half running to Home Depot for my guys, when my guys could have done it themselves, or whatever it is. And then look at that and find out what you can delegate. And then, big thing, be willing to say no. Do not be a yes man, yes woman. Be willing to say no to things that aren't going to take you to the picture that you painted for yourself in step 1. It's awesome stuff, Steve. I see how people can get where they want to go if they do these things. So let's bring it home, man. What is step 3? What is the last thing that someone can do as a real estate investor to make more money and do less?
Okay, so step 3 is, to me, the most vital thing, but it's also the hardest thing to do, because what you're going to realize is there are some things that you are not good at, and there's some things that you suck at, and there's some things that you're really good at. And now you have to start making some decisions and determinations of what is the best use of your time. So after you do your journal and you see, and you go, okay, these are some low level, low enjoyment tasks, and am I really the best person to do that? Now, the way that you can identify if you're wasting time or you're really doing, like, let's say you're a real estate investor and you're owning a lot of properties and you've got a lot of systems. Let's just say tenant selection process. You're picking tenants. And then you take that and you start documenting it. And you document it from A to Z, beginning to end. Because if you get hit by a bus tomorrow, how does your business keep running without you? Wow. And if it's not documented and systematized, it dies with you, right? No pun intended, but that's what happens. So if you're not documenting it and no one else knows how to do it, they're going to go, it's anyone's guess. It's in my brain, right? Well, that means that there's no consistency. And now when you look at your systems, you create a flow chart after you get the flow chart, now you say, okay, what can I outsource or leverage out to someone else that I don't have to do? Because the definition of a business is a commercial profitable enterprise that runs without you. If it's all in your head, it is not running without you, and you have a job, you don't have a business. And you will never be able to remove yourself from that. So it starts with being able to document it and actually look at the flow. And what happens is you start to see a lot of redundancy. You'll see a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of things that say, I don't even know why we do that. That makes no sense. Or maybe that's not even the right way to do it, legality, whatever the case may be. And then you say, okay, what am I really not good at? Do I really need to make the calls to the landlords, or could I have a virtual assistant do that, or an assistant my own do that? And now you're freeing up minutes. And some people say it only takes a couple minutes. Well, as we've learned, it's not a couple minutes. It's hours and hours and hours of wasted time. That is not the most effective use of your time.
People always underestimate time. Well, now like, oh, it only takes a minute or two for me to do that thing, or it's not that big of a waste. But yeah, when you extrapolate it over and over again, in that. So what would you, Steve, what would you say to a budding real estate investor that's just getting going? Because somebody like myself or you that have successful set up businesses, it's very easy to do what you're talking. What's easy? It's easier to do what we're talking about because we already have a lot of these protocols and systems and things that we're doing set up. So it's easy for us to analyze those things and analyze the efficiencies and repeatability of what we're doing. Right. What about the new investor that's just getting going, or the investor that only has 1 or 2 rental units? What is the importance of systemizations and procedures when somebody's just getting started in business?
I can tell you it is vital, because you have a clean slate. You have a white canvas to paint on, if you will. And that is the best kind, because I think like you as well, I made so many mistakes. I almost went bankrupt by having about 35 properties because I bought them all wrong. Yeah. And I didn't have any systems. I didn't have any processes. I was running around all the wrong things. So it is vital to do it when you're first starting, because why, some people say like, oh, I'll figure it out as I go. It's like, how many lawsuits can you endure by doing it wrong and going down the wrong path? And how many hours away from your family or away from what you want to do till you go, you know what, this isn't what I want. And so I think it's vital. I think the biggest challenge new investors have is they think I'm just going to do it and I'll figure it out as I go. And yes, I say do it the other way. Create the goal, then you create the strategy, then you create the team who's going to help you. So you're like building the pipeline. The property and the deal, in my opinion, is the last thing in the puzzle. That is, I always tell people, sharpen that mental axe before you swing it. Make sure everything is teed up and everything's lined up. You and I both know deals come all the time, right? There's not the deal of the lifetime. It comes every week, right? So, we get caught up in the heat of battle of, oh, I better get that deal. I should just get it. The reality is there's tons of deals out there. What happens when you own the wrong deal, everything changes. The music stops, right? And there's no books that show you what do you do when you own the wrong deal. You're upside down. You can't get rid of it. Your tenants are skipping on you. You're doing emotional decisions. And all of a sudden it's imploding on you because you didn't take the time to make the right infrastructure before you started.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely agree. And it's important to get this going first. That was a bit of a, like, I kind of know what you were going to say, because I, like you, did not build systems and processes when I first got started, and didn't get clear on what I would do, what I wouldn't do. And I didn't document everything as I did them. So if to my new viewers that are just watching this and are newer investors, I meant to say, just document everything that you're doing and just look at every process that you see you're going to have to do to be an effective business owner as you grow. And if you lay the groundwork in the habit of analyzing systems and processes now, it'll just get that much easier to do, and it'll become a habit. And just you'll grow faster if you've got repeatable processes and systems. You'll be able to start handing things off to team members and have people help you do what you do, and not end up a sole practitioner 30 years down the road, still doing everything by yourself, which is what a cautionary tale can happen, is you can still be, the only operator where you're just trading hours for dollars still, and not really scaling up and 10xing your business through leveraging time and leveraging other people's strengths and processes and systems, which is everything Steve's talking about today. So,
and the one thing I'll say, Matt, is I've never read a book or met anybody who was very successful in any business that says, I do it all. I do everything from beginning to end. No one helps me. It's the opposite. The successful people say, I don't do anything. I'm the thought leader. From here up, I have teams. So it's like, if we all know that successful people have the teams, you may do it because you're a hard driver, you're a worker. And I think that people fail not because they're not working hard. We all know investors, entrepreneurs, we will work 25 hours in a day if we could. So it's not that we're not working hard, it's that we're not being effective with our time, and we're not being intentional, I think, is the problem.
Let's underscore that when we bring it home here. Making more and doing less is really all in about being effective with your time. And to highlight what Steve talked about today, if you're effective with your time, you're moving towards where you want to go and not just moving in a bunch of different directions. If you're effective with your time, you're not screwing off or allowing people to hijack your time, or doing things that are not high value for your time. And if you're effective with your time, you're not doing something that couldn't get delegated, eliminated, or automated, right? Delegate, automate, eliminate. You could do one of those three things with a thing. So if you're effective with your time, you're doing it that way. So Steve, this has been amazing. And I think that if people apply the principles you have here and apply other resources that you have out that people can access, then they'll because you're a great systemization advocate and someone who's done a lot of it, mostly through your Airline Pilot business, but you've applied a lot of that over to your real estate business and everything like that. So I've learned a ton through listening to your podcast and through talking to you and stuff, because I'm not a natural systematizer, and it's something that you learned how to do. And I think a lot of us can learn a lot more by checking out what you have out there.
Absolutely. Glad to help. And I appreciate you having me on. And it's a learned process. It's like a muscle, right? You've got to work it. Same thing with this. It's learning a language. You're just learning a language of systemization, and with the goal of having the freedom to do what you want to do. And I've got a lot of people doing things. And, we had a company, we managed over 1,000 houses, and they said, how do you do that? I said, I don't do it. I have people who do it. I'm a business owner.
It's so funny when people say that. How do you do that? How do you own hundreds of rental units? I don't do any of that. I built the teams and systems, and I have people that help me do that because I built a business that helps me do it. You're asking the wrong question when you think, how do you do that? The question is, how did you build that?
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So Steve, how do people hear more about you? And we'll put some stuff in the show notes here in the description that people can get up with you. But what's a website? Any other ways that people want to reach out to you?
Yeah, sure. So they can find me on Instagram, Rozenberg Steve, Rozenberg Steve, Facebook, Steven Rozenberg. So flip it. Also I've got a website, steverozenberg.com. Also, I'm with the Mind Property Management, so we can go to Mind. I've got tons of videos on there. I got podcasts. I got tons of stuff. So it's mynd.co, mind.co. And you can Google me. I mean, I'm everywhere. I'm omnipresent, I guess you could say.
It's Steve, Rozenberg. You could just literally Google him and you'll see a ton come up. I did, and there's a ton of great stuff that comes up that you guys can consume. And check out the description here for this video, and you guys can hear more about him and link over and contact Steve to hear more too. And you can also check both of us out on Bigger Pockets and meet both of us at the Bigger Pockets conference coming up in October of this year of 2020. Cool. Thank you, Steve. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, make sure to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification button so you'll hear about more of the things that this channel has out here for you, including the Mentorship Monday program, DeRosa success stories, property tours, all kinds of great stuff. Steve, thank you. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great and profitable week.
See ya.